All right, Genesis chapter 43. Go ahead, D-Rel.
Chapter 43 out of Septuagint. But the famine prevailed in the land, and it came to pass when they had finished eating the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, that their father said to them, Go again, buy us a little food. And Judah spoke to him, saying, the Lord of the country, positively testified to us, saying, You shall not see my face unless your younger brother be with you. If then thou send our brother with us, we will go down and buy the food. But if thou send not our brother with us, we will not go. For the man spoke to us, saying, You shall not see my face unless your younger brother be with you.
Mm-hmm.
And Israel said, Why did you harm me, inasmuch as you told the man that you had a brother? So he's like, you shouldn't be revealing everything. Sometimes you need to keep it on the DL.
There's a word for that. In sales, I think
discretion.
It's like I forgot the phrase, but I know me. I was a bad salesman because I talk too much.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. They would tell me, D, you're giving too much info. If they're not asking, don't tell. And I'm just like, that's so hard for me. It's so difficult. I'm like, listen, if you really don't want to take this package, you can honestly take the smaller package. And they're like, bro, if they're not asking for all that, you're trying to sell the big package, D. Don't bring up the little package.
I'll be so honest.
I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to give them options, Oh, man. But yeah, that's what's happening here. Dad's like, why'd you open your mouth? They didn't need to hear all that. You give them extra information. That was unnecessary.
Yeah. Verse 7, and they said, The man closely questioned us about our family also, saying, Does your father yet live, and have ye a brother? And we answered him according to this question. Did we know that he would say to us, Bring your brother? And Judah said to his father Israel, Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go.
Hold on. Is this true?
That he questioned them?
Is this what Joseph asked them? You want to rewind the tape?
Yeah, let's rewind it.
Rewind the tape. What did Joseph ask? How did he approach them, and what question did he ask them? Jeff.
He just accused them, and they volunteered it. He accused them of being spies, but they were like, "No, we're not spies. We're 12 brothers, and one of us isn't with us." And
yeah,
they started going off the handle about how they weren't spies, but he didn't ask.
Right, he didn't ask all that detail.
So as any other kid, when a father's talking to their child, they always leave something out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where was I? Verse 8. And Judah said to his father Israel, Send the boy with me, and we will rise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou and our store. And I engage for him at my hand, do thou require him. If I bring him not to thee and place him before you, I shall be guilty toward you forever. For if we had not tarried, we should now have returned twice. And Israel, their father, said to them, If it be so, do this. Take of the fruits of the earth in your vessels, and carry down to the man presents of gum and honey, and frankincense, and stacked and turpentine and walnuts. I had something for that. Let me see what I got. Oh, it was about honey. How never mind, it's not important. Verse 12. And take double money in your hands, and the money that was returned in your sacks carry back with you, lest peradventure it is a mistake. And take your brother, and arise, go down to the man. And my God give you favor in the sight of the man, and send away your other brother, and Benjamin, for I accordingly, as I have been bereaved, am bereaved. I like how he says, and my God, he's talking about, Yahuwah, my God, is God of Abraham, Isaac, and him, And the men having
El Shaddai.
Yes. And the men having taken these presents, I said it before, he says, my God, because we know that, was it Rachel? She had her idols, and she worshipped other gods. So I'm sure these sons knew that. So that's why I'm assuming that's why he said, my God, just assumption though. And the men, having taken their presents and the double money, took in their hands also Benjamin. And they rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And Joseph saw them and his brothers, and his brother Benjamin, born of the same mother. And he said to the steward of his household, bring the men into the house and slay beasts and make ready, for the men are to eat bread with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph said, and he brought the men into the house of Joseph. And the men, when they perceived that they were brought into the house of Joseph, said, we are brought in because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first, even in order to inform against us, and lay it to our charge, to take us for servants and our asses. And having approached the man who was over the house of Joseph, they spoke to him in the porch of the house, saying, we pray you, sir, we come down at first to buy food. And it came to pass, we came to unlaid and opened our sacks. There was also this money of each in his sack. We have now brought back our money by weight in our hands. And we have brought other money with us to buy food. We know not who put the money into our sacks. So he's given back the money that was owed to them, and they brought more money to buy food. 23. And he said to them, God deal merciful with you. Be not afraid. Your God and the God of your fathers has given you treasures in your sacks, and I have enough of your good money. And he brought Simeon out to them, and he brought water to wash their feet, and gave provender to their asses. Now, washing the feet, we've seen Yahusha do this with the disciples. Now, this shows it happened way before they used to do this. This must have been like a thing, to wash their feet. You know what I mean? So this goes way before the Torah. Verse 25, and they prepared their gifts until Joseph came at noon, for they heard that he was going to dine with them. And Joseph entered into the house, and they brought him the gifts which they had in their hands into the house, and they did him reverence with their face to the ground. And again, bowing again to a man. And he asked him, bow are you? Or how are you? Excuse me. And he said to them, is your father the old man of whom you spoke well? Does he yet live? And they said, thy servant our father is well. He is yet alive. And he said, blessed be that man by God. And they bowed and did him reverence. And Joseph lifted up his eye and saw his brother Benjamin, born of the same mother. And he said, is this your younger brother whom you spoke of bringing to me? And he said, God have mercy on thee, my son. And Joseph was troubled, for his bowels yearned over his brother, and he sought to weep, and he went into his chamber and wept there. And he washed his face and came out and refrained himself and said, get on bread. Verse 32. And they set on bread for him alone, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians feasting with him by themselves. For the Egyptians could not eat bread with the Hebrews, for it is an abomination to the Egyptians. For verse 32, I took a note that the Hebrews, for the most part, were shepherds. In Genesis 46:34, we'll not go ahead though. They are called an abomination to the Egypts. The Hebrews also killed and ate what they deemed sacred, the ox or the cow. And the Egyptians, obviously, the ox and cow were pretty much like gods to them. So they did not like it. That's why they separated themselves. Verse 33, and they sat before him, the firstborn according to his seniority, and the younger according to his youth. And the men looked with amazement, everyone at his brother. And they took their portion from him to themselves. But Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as the portions of the others. And they drank and were filled with drink with them. Benjamin got more. That's it. You're on mute.
So the first time they came, they're being accused of being spies. The second time they come, they're being invited in the house and they're having a meal with this guy. You know, I'm sure that's like, it's almost, again, I like to bring the beauty of making grace amazing. I can't take credit for that phrase, but it is making grace amazing. The way you make grace amazing is by turning up the heat and causing a person's heart to be pierced by the Torah. They have to feel the conviction. Once they experience the goodness, the good news, the love of Yahuwah, it makes it so much better.
And the fear.
Yeah.
There's a fear in there too.
Absolutely.
They did come back with the money that they was put back in their sacks. They didn't just keep it for themselves. They said, hey, we got this money that we're supposed to give to you. I don't know why it's back in our sacks, but plus we have more money to buy food.
Yeah.
So there's some honesty there because of the fear.
There's a fear, there's a reverence, a respect. They don't come with like, yo, I'm obligated. So you said you're gonna give me, you know, they're not coming in like, you know, it's my right to get food and to get what you told me I was gonna get as long as I did what you told me to do. No, they're still coming with that humility. Like, listen, I don't know what this guy plans on doing with our lives. You know, like, be merciful with my younger brother. Don't do anything to him. You know what I mean? But, and we should really, you know, no, we don't fear Yahuwah in the sense of like we walk around, we can't talk to him, we can't approach him as if we're approaching an abusive father.
No.
That's not the type of fear we're promoting.
Or hiding his name.
The type of fear we're promoting is just that level of respect, like that reverence. You should be able to understand that we can't play around with Yahuwah. We can't play around with him, you know? Obey his commands. Don't mess around because he could destroy your life.
He won't spare the rod at all.
Yeah.
Envy.
So, what?
And I always say that there's legit aspect of
I think that type of fear should come in when you're going off the path. But I don't think that's the type of fear, that fear that he could destroy us. You don't need to have that when you're obeying, when you're walking in obedience, right? When you're walking in the spirit, love casts out all fear. If you're walking in his love, you don't have to fear that fear. You don't have to feel the fear.
Yeah, because if you have a fear of being destroyed, that's not love at all. That's just
right.
Being destroyed.
Right. So I don't want people taking my words out of context and saying I'm fear mongering or anything like that. No, right. I don't believe in that. I absolutely believe if you're doing what is right, it will be well with you. But if you're not doing what is right, woe unto you. Right? Scripture promotes that idea. So I'm not making it up. That's all I got for this. I'll end here so we can get into our healing and deliverance topic, which is exciting. So that was Genesis chapter 43.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Ezzy. Little exhortation, a little something there about Joseph and
yeah, just the relationship between Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph giving him a larger portion out of the other brothers, just like Yahusha gave a larger portion or responsibility to Peter over the other apostles, you know, being able to bind whatever on earth, whatever in heaven is on earth, and, you know, being that overseer or that spokesperson, so to speak, for the apostles. So just the relation that his portion, Peter's portion, was also larger than the other apostles, just like Benjamin had a larger portion.
Yeah. Peter was the first one to speak in the book of Acts after the Spirit fell on the believers. He was the first man to open his mouth and to preach. So he definitely took on the baton from Yahusha. I agree. That's pretty good. Thank you.